So, Iron Man 3. This film really had a lot to prove. Like, the first Iron Man is generally considered one of the best comic book movies, best superhero movies. The second one, not so much. But this one also has to follow on from both all the stuff that was left up hanging from Iron Man 2, as well as from the Avengers. And, it needs to prove that the heroes are still in on their own outside of the Avengers. And I'd say Iron Man 3 actually did that really well, because it did continue Tony Stark's development, and Tony Stark is easily the most interesting character in the entire Marvel Cinematic Universe. Robert Downey Jr. is still fantastic. And they found a way to kind of work in elements from both Iron Man 2 and the Avengers to follow on from. And really, if this was to be the last film that, maybe not necessarily the last, but at least the last Iron Man film, then it would be a fine way to end the Iron Man trilogy. But, there's all those rumours about, Robert Downey Jr. maybe not coming back after Avengers 2. If that's the case, I hope it's just that Tony Stark retires as Iron Man, lets War Machine take over, and continues as a supporting character. That's the best they could do if Robert Downey Jr. doesn't want to play Iron Man anymore. But more about this film. The choice of the Mandarin as the villain was pretty obvious. I mean, really, can you name any other Iron Man villain off the top of your head that doesn't in some way just use Stark tech? Or even just name a villain from Iron Man in general. That's kind of Iron Man's biggest weakness, the fact that while his character is quite interesting, his rogues gallery is a bit shit. And the villains really do make the superhero movies, which is why I think one of the reasons the Dark Knight trilogy was so weak. But the idea of Ben Kingsley as the Mandarin, you kind of imagine the Mandarin would be, Chinese. So it's not exactly a bad casting choice. And what they do with the character is there's some interesting things to the way they approach the character in this one. I quite liked it. The supporting cast, well, I wish War Machine got a bit more to do. And I think I heard that he's going to be in Avengers 2, so you'd think he would have had a bit more to do to really set him up. But then again, he did still have more to do than Hawkeye. And I really like Pepper Potts in this one. I didn't necessarily dislike her in the previous ones, but I really liked her in this one because of certain things that happen that I'm not going to go into because it's spoilers. And I do have to question the logic of the minions in this film. They can heat up their bodies so hot they can actually melt through iron just by touching it. And I have to wonder why the clothes don't just immediately burst into flames. But it's just a minor thing, it's not really important, it's just something I noticed. If you like the other Iron Man films or like the Avengers, you'll probably like this one. But it's funny that even though it falls on from after the Avengers, there's not that many references to the others. And hell, I don't think they even mention S.H.I.E.L.D. As for whether or not you'll like it if you're not a fan of Iron Man, well, obviously if you hate him or just dislike him, you're not going to enjoy this film. If you're not that familiar with the character, it would probably be advisable, to check back with the other films. The scene after the credits, we didn't end up staying to watch it. From what I've read, it's not really important. I'm assuming that Thor 2, that post-credit scene, will be more relevant to Avengers 2. And it's also been confirmed that there's going to be a brother and sister pairing, most likely Scarlet Witch and Quicksilver, as well as Ant-Man and Guardians of the Galaxy, and Falcon's going to be in it. I mean, honestly, just looking at it now, I'm just going to say it. I think Avengers 2 is going to be just too overpacked with characters, as it won't be that well received. It'll make a shitload of money, probably more than Avengers 1, but I don't think it's going to be as well received, because I think they'll have too many characters, and then have to rein it back for Avengers 3. And on that little off-topic note, I'll leave it at that. Check out Iron Man 3. It is... It's hard to say whether it's the best one. I heard that some people say it's better than Iron Man 1. I'm not really sure. It's a very story-driven one instead of action-driven. I guess Iron Man 1 was a bit like that too. But yeah, I can't really say which is the best Iron Man film. I can say which is the worst one though. That's not hard to determine.